Okay, the second type of transformation of graph that we have involves looking at graphs that slide horizontally left or right. So we can recognise a horizontal transformation whenever we're asked to sketch the graph of f of, and in brackets, x plus a. So we have our original y equals f of x graph. This time we're going to look at sketching the graphs of y is equal to f of x plus 2 and y is equal to f of x minus 2. So the explanation at the bottom describes what this looks like. We move the graph horizontally left if this a value is bigger than 0. We move it horizontally right if the a value is less than 0. So that's opposite to what you think. So you've seen a bit of this in National 5 when you were asked about moving trig graphs or quadratic graphs left or right. That whenever you have numbers inside the bracket, you're actually doing the opposite process. In the last video, when we spoke about moving graphs up and down, I mentioned that whenever you have a graph of f of x plus or minus with that number on the outside, that was affecting the y values and the x values were staying the same. This time we have y is equal to f of x plus 2, and that bit there is in brackets. So whenever we have numbers that are inside the bracket of the function, then it affects the x only. It doesn't affect the y, it affects the x, but it does the opposite. And that's a good rule of thumb to use. If the number is on the outside of the bracket, it affects the y and the x stays the same. If the number is inside the bracket, it affects the x. The y stays the same, but it does the opposite. So outside affects y, stays the same. Inside affects x, does opposite. Remember that. So the first graph that we're going to look at is a graph of y is equal to f of x plus 2. So as usual, I have written down my coordinates at the bottom here, because before we sketch a graph we have to know what the coordinates look like. So x plus 2 is not going to move the graph to the right, it's going to do the opposite and move towards the negative part of the number line. So I'm going to move all my coordinates 2 places to the left. So remember, it affects the x and the y stays the same. So all we're going to do here is take 2 away from the x value, but keeping y the same. So I'm going to do this bit here in red. So if I move minus 6, 0 back 2 places, that's going to become minus 8, 0. Minus 2, 4 is going to be minus 4, 4. 0, 0 is going to become minus 2, 0. 2 minus 2 is going to become 0 minus 2. And 4, 0 becomes 2, 0. So notice I've kept all my y coordinates the same, but I've just taken my x coordinates and subtract 2 from them, because that's the opposite of plus 2 inside the bracket. So let's go ahead and now sketch that. So we have minus 8, 0 would be approximately here. Minus 4, 4 would be approximately here. Minus 2, 0 would be approximately here. The next one is 0 minus 2, which would be approximately here. And the last one is 2, 0, which is approximately here. Remember, we must always identify the transformed coordinates. So that is now going to look something like this. Comes down, goes up, goes down, has a turning point, then goes back up. So that there is a graph of y is equal to f of x plus 2. Now we're going to look at the graph of y is equal to f of x minus 2. So this graph I will do in blue. So remember, when the number is inside the bracket, it affects the x and it does the opposite of what we think. Okay, so start with the coordinates. When it affects the x, keep the y the same but do the opposite. So minus 6, we add 2 to that, so it becomes minus 4, 0. Keep y the same. Minus 2, 4, add 2 to it, becomes 0, 4. 0, 0, add 2 to it, becomes 2, 0. 2 minus 2, add 2 to it, becomes 4 minus 2. And 4, 0, add 2 to it, becomes 6, 0. And then let's just sketch those points. So minus 4, 0 is going to be here. 0, 4 is going to be here. 2, 0 is going to be here. 4 minus 2 is going to be here. And 6, 0 is going to be approximately here. Again, make sure you label the coordinates. So that is now all we need to sketch it. So we then just go ahead and sketch the graph. And that's the graph of y is equal to f of x minus 2. And in red we had the graph of y is equal to f of x plus 2. So as a rule of thumb for all of the transformations that we do, if the number is outside the bracket, it affects the y and does what it says. If the number is inside the bracket, it affects the x and does the opposite of what it says.